I'm Grace.
So let's get started.
I'm a recipe blogger, family-taught home chef,
Cheers.
Cheers.
iPhone-only photographer, and proud New Englander. We're making homemade pesto and tossing it into al dente pasta with juicy chicken and tomatoes.
It doesn't get much better than this. So there's some really good store-bought pestos out there, but nothing compares to homemade pesto. And it's honestly not that hard to make. It only takes a few ingredients and a food processor. I'm gonna show you how to make this pesto. Classic pesto here starts with a lot of basil. I have a huge bunch, and I'm just gonna pick off about 1.5 cups of basil leaves, and you don't even need to tear them. I'm just gonna pack them into the 1 cup measure and the 1/2 cup measure until they're completely filled. This is what I mean by packed. You really want 2 big packed cups. Boop, boop, boop. Pop them right into your food processor. It's a lot. Next up in pesto, garlic. And quite a lot of it. Quite a lot. 3 cloves right in there. And then I have some Parmigiano Reggiano, classic in pesto. You can't beat it. It's nutty, it's salty. You gotta have Parmigiano Reggiano, or you can do Parmesan if you don't wanna spend all that money because it is expensive. And then I have some Pecorino Romano, and you can just use Parmesan if you want, but Pecorino adds a nice sharpness to your pesto that's really, really good. And then I have pine nuts, classic pesto ingredient. You can toast your pine nuts if you want a little bit more earthiness and smokiness in your pesto, or just leave them raw. And last but not least, I have olive oil, and you need quite a bit of it to make this an actual sauce and not just a bunch of basil leaves and cheese. And a pinch of salt. What's gonna happen? Once it's locked and loaded, we're going to pulse our food processor. Not just turn it on, you wanna set it to the pulse setting, pulse it. And the reason why you wanna do that is because you don't want the blade inside your food processor to heat up and ruin your basil. You want it nice and fresh and green. So pulse. Looks pretty good. Man, oh man. I wish you guys could smell this. It smells insane. And I wish you could taste too. You gotta taste, you gotta make sure it tastes good. Cheesy, the basil, little crunch of the pine nuts. Amazing. Time to go get my chicken. Next up, chicken. I have some chicken breasts on a baking sheet, and if you'd like, you can marinate your chicken in balsamic ahead of time, let it sit for a while in the fridge, or if you're lazy like me and you just don't have the time, you can just do a little zhuzh of balsamic on each of your chicken breasts, and that's good enough. I love a little balsamic on my baked chicken because it just flavors it, gives it that little hint of tang that's just really, really good with the pesto. So I'm gonna tell you how to bake chicken and make it juicy every time. 425 degrees, 17 to 21 minutes. It's perfect every time. Let's go put this in the oven. If you didn't believe me that this chicken was gonna be juicy, look at it. Now you see, it's so juicy. I just let it rest for a few minutes on this cutting board, and now what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna kind of pull it. Instead of chopping it up into little chunks, I'm gonna take my knife and just pull it apart. I really like this method because the pesto really gets in between little grooves of chicken, and I just think it tastes better than the chunks. Feel free to chunk it if you want, but I like the pulled. Last thing we need to do is boil our pasta. I have some cavatappi here. You can use gemelli, cavatappi, you could use penne, really any short pasta that you like, but I think these are really fun. I'm gonna go boil them. The water's screaming. So we need to add our pasta in one noodle at a time. Let it go. Always a pasta facial. Our pasta is ready to roll. First step, I'm going to add in some tomatoes. I didn't even have them. You can have them if you'd like. And then I'm going to add in my chicken. All that good shredded chicken, and it'll rewarm in the hot pasta. The best ingredient, our delicious pesto. And you might not want to add the whole thing. You might want to add the whole thing. I like a lot of pesto, so I'm gonna add all of it. And then if you like a little crushed red pepper, I like a little bit, just a little bit of back heat. Add it right in. And then you just toss it all up. And I reserved a little bit of pasta water just to kind of loosen up the pesto a little bit. I'm gonna add just a nice drizzle and keep on mixing up everything. Guys, this is where it's at. It's so good. The homemade pesto makes this dish so much better than store-bought. Check this out on tastefullygrace.com. You won't regret it. When in Italy. How many shreds of pecorino are there in this bowl? Or how many can I eat?